everybody. It's Amy with Life Redesign. Today we are talking about crucial conversations. I'm so glad that you're joining me, and I'm really looking forward to getting through some of this hard stuff. A lot of times, as business owners and as women, crucial conversations can be really intimidating for us as individuals. And the thing is, usually the things that are hardest for us are the most important. So, being able to be brave enough to have a crucial conversation in your business is so important for growth, for progress, for moving forward. And so, I'm really looking forward to talk about that today. Before we get started, let me know in the comments how you feel about crucial conversations. Give me your best, give me your best emoji on what happens to your body temperature or your mind or your heart or your physical being when you think about really having that crucial conversation. And I'm talking about like some really tough ones where you've got to let somebody go, you've got to fire somebody, you've got to put a boundary in place, you've got to put an employee on a performance plan, you've got to let your child know that there's consequences coming. So give me a little emoji for where you're at when these crucial conversations are about to come up. So let's talk first about crucial conversations and what they are, why they're important, and then we'll dive right into some ways to kind of take the ease off of these and talk a little bit about why they're important. They're important for a lot of different reasons. The first thing is you need to make sure, whether I always talk. I talk so much about business, but I always end up relating being a business owner with motherhood and like running your home, because I really feel like running your home has so much similarities, if not the same, as all of us know of running a business. So all of these things. So while I'm referencing business, please know that I'm also referencing your home and whatever it is that you're running. And I really truly believe that running your home is a business. We need to do the same things, a lot of the same things there that we do in business. So we need to make sure that we stay strong in our business with these conversations, with crucial conversations, so that our business can run strong, so that it can be effective, so that it can be efficient, and so the relationships within our business can actually flourish. Without crucial conversations and without, things like accountability, performance plans, taking steps back, admitting fault, calling out fault, without all of those things, growth and moving forward, which then leads into, flourishing, hitting goals, rocking your numbers, scaling your business, all of that's going to struggle if we're not in a position to be able to do these effectively and efficiently, or just to do them at all. Okay. So the thing about crucial conversations, y'all, is that when we fail at them, which means when we don't have them, so much of your life can be affected. So much, every aspect of your life, your career, your community, your health. The other side of that is if you master them, every part of your life can be affected, and you'll be able to see those aspects of your life flourish and grow and dominate and have a lot of abundance power within that. So what I have found is that the best companies out there, they all have one thing in common, whether it's a small business, whether it's a network marketing company that you have a team of people with, whether it's our home that we're running, or whether it's a large business, everything, they all have one thing in common. And it is that they are willing to step into difficult conversations. And really good companies, bosses deal with problems. They deal with things, they don't ignore them, and they don't pretend everything is okay. And the best companies, everyone holds everyone accountable. They work together and they create this common ground that crucial conversations and talking about problems or addressing issues is not a negative space. It's actually an opportunity for growth. So regardless of level of position that your employees are in, or that you are in, wherever you're at, regardless of that, it's really important to have them. In certain companies, people might shy away from holding people accountable because they might be afraid of the outcome that they will have. And I'm here to tell you, I promise you, and this is life by example, right? I promise. Where is that cord? Oh, here. This is like bothering me, Emma. It's funny because it's like Okay, there. I just kept looking at that. That was bothering me. Sorry about that, y'all. Uh, it's if you're worried about the outcome of having conversations regarding, around issues, problems, performance, that kind of stuff. You're worried about what they're going to think when you address it. Here's the thing, it's honest and it's truthful. And if you don't have employees that can handle the truth or honesty or or are not coachable, that means they don't have a growth mindset. I'm telling you, when your employees don't have a growth mindset, they're not the right person for your company if that's the mindset that you have. Okay. And in a growth mindset, as we all know, probably everybody that's watching this video, in a growth mindset, we are coachable, we are we are teachable. We are willing to admit fault when needed. We are willing to pass through failure and look at it as opportunity. Okay. So here are some things, three things that I want to share with you regarding crucial conversations. And it seems every year in my life, there's kind of always like this one big theme that I end up kind of working on. And gosh, I'm not sure how many years ago this was, maybe 5, 7, something like that. But it was I really dove into how to effectively have crucial conversations. What I found was that I was having them, but I was bulldozing over the person I was having them with, and I wasn't doing it in the right way because the outcome ended up being people were always scared to talk to me. Were always saying I never understood. And it became what it looked like to the other person or the other people in my conversation, just that I was selfish and I wasn't a good listener. So I dove into understanding more. Our first step is always to be aware. The second step is always to start to understand. And I started to realize, okay, there are some things that I'm missing, and there is a way to do this right. There is a way to have a really difficult conversation, a crucial conversation correctly. Let's talk about them. First and foremost, we have to lead by example. So you need to hold yourself accountable to show your team that you will do the same with them. Listen, I'll just use my studio for an example. If I'm going into the studio and when I'm done teaching classes, I don't clean my room, I don't turn off the lights, I don't lock the doors, I don't, stack the towel, I don't do any of that stuff. How in the world can I ever ask my team to do that? How in the world can I set expectations of them if I don't even expect that for myself? When we hire front desk and we ask them, these are requirements that you will have with your job. Part of that is cleaning. But if as their manager, we are not willing to clean and we're just willing instead to tell them to do that all of the time, that is not going to work. Okay. It's not going to work. Again, trial by error, it's not going to work. Listen, if you are taking this conversation and you are running it as your, kind of applying it to your home, how can you ask your partner to do something that you're not willing to do? How can you ask your children to do something that you're not willing to do? Right? We talk about we talk about this all the time in this group, is that our kids are so like, well, you don't do that. They're so quick and then we're like, oh man, you're right. We don't, like, how can we expect them? It's like that, that thing where there's like memes and stuff about it where it's like, stop yelling at your kids, but you're yelling, it's like, stop yelling. It's like, but you're yelling at them. So we have to be able to lead by example, to set a good example, but also to set clear expectations of what you have for them, and which will lead into clear expectations of what they expect from you. So what my staff expect from me is to lead by example. I have not done anything. There's not one thing that I have not done that I ask my staff to do. If I ask my staff to lesson plan, I am doing that. If I'm asking my staff to, to follow the system that I have, the strategy and the system that I have in place for my company, I am asking them to do that because I do the same thing. If I ask my staff that they need to clean the toilet at the end of the night, I ask them that because I am willing to do the same thing. It's those little things that count, and leading by example is so, so, so important. Okay, within that, setting those expectations, open, honest communication should be expected from you as their leader. So you need to make sure, if you, again, relating this back to motherhood, we're constant, it's great to constantly tell your children, I'm here if you need anything. I remember last year my son he was 11, was going through this hard time, and I just couldn't figure out what was wrong. And I knew, like, my motherly intuition knew, but I couldn't get it out of him, and we couldn't talk about it. It was driving me bonkers. And I finally backed off, and instead of just, what's wrong? Instead I just kept saying, hey, I just want to let you know that I'm here if you ever need to talk about anything. It was months. It was months of saying that. And finally, after a random Panera Bread lunch of not talking about anything in the car ride on the way home, there it came. And it was there, and we talked about it. And it was just that constant affirmation that I gave him, affirming that I would be there. You have to be able to willing to share that with your staff. And you can't just say, well, it's in the handbook. I know it's in the handbook. It's in my handbook too, that it says I have an open door policy. I might not be able to talk to you right when you call me, but I'm willing to set up a time to talk to you as well. But you have to constantly remind them, I am here for you, to have open and honest communication. And that rule alone needs to be set as an expectation, a clear expectation of what they can expect from you, of what your team, what your leaders can expect from you. Okay. You have to be willing and capable to share your views on things. So we've talked a lot about holding true to your why. Your why is very important. And, not everybody that works for you not everybody that works for you might not understand the driving, like the hefty drive and force behind your why. You're going to be the one that has the most power behind that and understand it the most. But you have to be willing to share your views on things. So, for example, if somebody says to me, so my studios are, my brick and mortar business, for example, it's a woman's only studio. And if someone says to me, I just really, I think we should, and this has happened often, I just really think we should have a men's class. Maybe we can have it like off hours, my why is driven around empowering women. That doesn't mean I don't like men. That doesn't mean I don't believe men can do what we do. It doesn't mean I don't believe that there should be a space for men out there. It's just not mine. But I have to be able to share that when someone asks me that question, and have that hard conversation to say, hey, this is our why. These are our values. This is what we're gunning for as a brand. And it doesn't fit within our brand. Does that make sense? But I have to be willing to allow them to share with me that part of their heart. Okay. You have to keep that open. So, when, kind of thinking about staff meetings, for example, this is a great one. In staff meetings, it's really great. As leaders, we will often think, I've got to do everything. I've got to say everything. There can be no room for movement. There can be no room for anybody else to say anything. It's my way. It's the highway. Okay. Also did that, and also learned a lot of things about what happens with your staff when you act that way as a boss. And that's a whole nother story. But you want to make sure that you are giving the entire group, let's say that you're going to talk about, rebranding with your team. You're going to talk about rebranding. Let's say you're going to talk about shifting companies as a network marketing team. You have to be willing to hear everybody's input and allowing everybody to input. So if you can imagine, there's like a big pot right here. You have to allow everyone to put into the pot. Okay, certain things, but a crucial conversation. Allow that other person, allow your children, allow your staff to put those things into the pot. Okay, their opinions, their ideas, etc. Then you as the owner, you as the leader, take the pot, and then you can make an educated decision, and that's what the team will have to be okay with. Does that make sense? So you have to be able to allow them the space to do that, because here's the thing. If you don't allow the space for your team, your staff to be able to have open communication and conversation, things are going to get missed. They're going to get missed because they don't feel like they have a space to even bring it. It's just like that example of like a woman that went in to get a tonsillectomy, and she got her foot cut off, and there was like 5 or 7, there was like 5 doctors that were, 7 doctors that were there. And they were all like, yeah, we noticed the doctor was doing something, but like, we didn't say anything. And, for us outside of the surgery, we're like, how could you not say something? But a lot of times if they didn't feel like they had that safe space to say something, that's why they didn't. And a woman, instead of getting one thing, totally got another that completely shifted her life, right? So think of this is that why in the world did they not have that space? So in your business, it's crucial. It's very crucial to be able to create a safe space for your staff to speak openly to you. If that doesn't happen, the information will not be allowed to be able to like freely come through your system. And what's then going to happen is that the information won't be allowed in the space to flow freely. The quality of work is actually going to go down. Your customers are then not going to come back. Then you're going to make less money, and then your business is going to close. Okay. So it is that important. I know that was like a steep decline, but it is that important for you to create that space. Listen, my staff knows that they can come to me openly and honestly about anything that's going on in their life, that's going on in their space. And I am telling you what, because we have this relationship of communication, because I lead by example and I don't ask them to do anything that I haven't done, it has done wonders in my business so much that we killed our numbers last year and had a record year just shortly 2 years after the biggest disaster of our country hit. That is amazing. With less staff, less studios, less clients, we had a record year. Why? Because we were running so efficiently on the inside that all of this got to run freely. And when I wasn't there and I was building things outside of what my staff was doing, and I had a different job to do to kind of focus on, and I was training managers and get everything in place, and I was helping switch our system, I knew if something was going haywire because my staff was like, "Hey, I got to talk to you about something. This was a little bit of a red flag for me." And boom, we had a conversation about it. Boom, we hit it head on. Boom, fixed. Boom, kept going. Boom, hit a record year. Okay, it matters. Leading by example is the very first thing. Number 2, allow your team the space to have healthy conversations. And I just talked a little bit about this, but you have to allow the space for everyone to share their meaning so that a whole decision can be made. So again, just going back to that pot, it's not like you're not doing this for everything. Okay, you're not going, okay, I'm thinking about switching systems and I wanted to see what everybody thought about it, so give your input, or I'm thinking about buying these shorts for the yoga studio or these pants. It's not going to be every single thing. That's just too much work. I mean, for me, I have roughly 35 staff members. I can't do that with everybody. Not everybody's even going to answer me in a day. It just would be crazy if I would do that. But you have to be able to make sure that everybody in the crucial conversation, they feel heard, they feel loved, and they feel cared for. So let me give you an example. When I make a change at the studio, I always give I always give an 8-week grace period for the rule to shift. I then give another 8 weeks of this like gray period that's a little less of a grace period. And then I start to really stay true with like a lot of reminders about the change and everything. And then after that next 8 weeks, that's when we start to really like it's firm, it's done, we're holding accountable. Okay. So let's say you sell a product, you have a service, and right now, if somebody, let's say somebody purchases your products right now, you have a refund policy. No matter what, you can refund. If they buy your service and they don't want it, no matter what, you have a refund policy. Let's say that you are going to switch to a no refund policy. They don't get their money back no matter what. They bought the product. It's over. They can't get their money back. Okay. Okay. Well, it could be a good idea for them to be, if they're, being long-term clients, for them to be able to be heard, feel heard, is that you could say, just a reminder, this is what's happening. In that first 8 week, not that you have to do it for 8 weeks, but let's say the first 2 weeks, you maybe, you give and take a little bit on accepting returns. The second couple weeks, it's a little the same thing, but you're a little bit more firm. And then finally, the next couple weeks, it's like, you know what? Okay, it's been 4 weeks, it's been a month, like this is firm. I actually no longer take returns. Okay. So really in my business right now, that is Yeah, that is over. That's over 6. I was just trying to think if I did it for if I do it for 6 months, because there's also something to me that there certain things that we do for longer. We just launched a new system, so I was thinking we've just done a lot of stuff for longer than that. So like when we launched our new system, I mean, everybody used to sign up one way, and we had to shift the sign up. So it was, I mean, it was like 6 months of us really being like, we got it, we're here, and then finally 6 months later, we're like, nope, this is how you do it. Nope, here's a link. Nope, here's a video. Please watch the video so you can learn how to do it yourself. And it took us about a year, like almost a year, to really get our clients to learn and understand and realize that they needed to shift. But do you see how we didn't do it like right away? We just go, change of this. Okay, you guys got to send it. You have to sign yourself up, right? Because here's the thing, we can't discount people's experiences. We can't discount what they've gone through, their opinion, dialogue. And what happens is when we offer this type of space, we don't give an idea of like, some sort of like room for like silence, silly games, miscommunication. What happens is we give a space of a very clear expectation and a very clear output and result. So when we switched our system, we continue to say it's coming, it's coming, it's coming, it's coming, it's coming, it's coming, it's coming. And now finally, these are the rules that we hold here to. But we didn't want to discount what they were saying, because how do it is frustrating, right? Change can be frustrating. A lot of people don't like change, especially when you're dealing with a system. I mean, I didn't like it either. I cried during the whole process. And I was like, what am I doing? This is it was so much, but it's the best thing on the other side. So I didn't discount, I know it sounds crazy, but it can be triggering. Like, it can be triggering to people when they're trying to sign up. They're signing. I want to make it as easy as possible for somebody to sign up doing what we do. And if I just, discount their feelings that it's difficult for them, they could leave going, I feel stupid. I'm not good enough to go there. She doesn't believe in me. All of those things can happen. But if I listen, I did things like, if I've listened and they're like, I just don't get it. I'm like, what? I'm going to sign you up for this. When you come in on Wednesday, let's take 10 minutes together. I'm going to show you how to do it from your phone. So the next time you sign up for something, you've got it down. How does that sound? See the difference? One way is like, wow, she cares, she's nurturing, she's loving, she hears me. I'm allowed to have input in this, right? Because, a crucial conversation could be, and trust me, I have them all the time, no refunds. I have a no refund policy. People get pregnant and they can't do what we do. People break an arm, people get an accident, people get sick, all these things. And I have to have these crucial conversations, and I have to somehow make it known that I do care about them and I do love them. And it's really hard. So there's a right way to do this. So again, I'm leading by example during these conversations to say, yeah, I get it. I know how you feel. It's a bummer, right? I remember going to boxing. I tore my shoulder. I didn't get a refund. I actually couldn't even stop my payments. I actually started going and just doing what I could with my left arm. And I get it. Like, I get it. I understand these things come up. I get it. As a business owner, I have to stay true to this policy because it makes sense for me. So while I can't do a refund, here are things I can offer you. We can shift this. We could go to here. We could do this. And I give them 5 options of what I can do instead of focusing on what I can't do. Right? Okay. So number 1, lead by example. Number 2, allow your team the space to have a healthy conversation. If you're having a crucial conversation with one person, you have to give them the space to be heard. Okay. Number 3, also understand that people can change. Okay. So you have to start from the heart. It will take work. Always make sure to check your motive. So before I have a crucial conversation of something I know that needs to be had, I must wait until my motive is pure. And I have written all over so many of my notes, my motive must be love. So if I need to have a crucial conversation to say to one of my instructors, and I have had to do this many times, listen, your numbers are not where they need to be. This is some feedback that I have gotten from people in your classroom. Right? I can't go into it with my motive being, I'm so ticked off because she didn't hit numbers and now our sales are down and now all this isn't happening and now our class is running, right? I can't go into it like that. I've got to come into it from with love to say, hey, I know this is really hard to hear. But what I also know is I hired you for a reason. I believe in you and I have the skills to train you to change these numbers. I have the skills to teach you things that can help you with what is going on right now and the feedback that has gotten. So she feels supported. And then I can ask her, how do you feel right now? How is this making you feel? Okay. And I listen and I hear, but I always start with my heart. Um, we don't want it to not start with your heart, because the thing is, if you do, the dialogue can resort back to things that we grew up with, things like debate, silence, manipulation. So if you're finding yourself slipping a little bit on your motives and checking your motives, offer yourself these questions. What do I really want for myself and others? What am I doing? Okay. So if I'm going into, talk with my teammate about, this is not working out. What is my motive? Is it pure and clear so that I can enter in dialogue with ease? That's leading by example. If I'm not eased in my dialogue, the other person is going to resort back to that debate, manipulation, silence treatment, because they're going to they're going to copy what it is that you're doing. If you're coming in with a pure motive and you're coming in with ease, hopefully they have that same thing and know that you are there for the right reasons. Now, it's not always going to end up that way. We wish that it was, but it's not. You can go in with the right motive to come in with ease. Your dialogue is peaceful. You're allowing them to have the space to have a healthy conversation, and they can absolutely flip out. Okay. Also have been through this. And at that point, it's okay, because you set the checklist for everything of your boundaries and your life and what you needed to check. You are not responsible for the way that they respond. Okay. I'm going to say that again. You are not responsible for the way that your team, or the other person responds. You're responsible for yourself. At the end of the day, you always want to make sure that you hit that pillow going, you know what? I gave it my best. And if you didn't, go back and apologize and set the record straight. Crucial conversations, the best companies are willing to have them. The best companies are willing to step into this scary zone. I call it like the danger zone. It's always like, don't do it. But these are the conversations that need to happen. They need to be said. Things need to be addressed, because these are the ways. This is a big way of how your company is going to hit that next level. So let's talk about your homework. I want you to think about one crucial conversation that you need to have. I want you to have it, and I want you to report back to me. So I want to give you 1 week. I want you to think about, is there anything that you need to address with your team, with your employees, in your relationships, setting a boundary, whatever it might be. I want you to have one crucial conversations. I want you to practice these 3 steps, and I want you to let me know how it goes. Okay. I'm really proud of you. Don't forget to check your motive. Don't forget to lead by example. Don't forget to give that other person or your team the space to be able to be heard. One crucial conversation, one addressing of the problem. I know you can do it. I believe in you. Thanks for joining me today on Life Redesigned. We're going to grow through what we go through. I'll talk to y'all soon.